Hey everybody, welcome to All Things MSP, the live show. My name is Eric Anthony. Thank you for joining me tonight. I'm going to take just a minute and make sure that we have gone live on Facebook. So give me just a minute here. Let's see. Oh, yep, there we are. Looks like we've gone live. All right. So, and it looks like we've got a couple of viewers already. What I'd like you to do is if you are logged in, go ahead and comment. Let me know you're here. Let me know your name. And let me know how the audio is. Last week we had a little bit of trouble with the audio. And so I did some tweaking this week. And I wanted to make sure that the audio is nice and clear tonight without too much rustling of papers, knocking on the desk. So if you can hear those things, go ahead and let me know whether or not the audio sounds good tonight, because I want to make sure it does. Last week it was okay because Ian was doing most of the talking, so that was all right. But tonight it's just me. I don't have a wingman, so I want to make sure that the audio sounds good tonight. So please, if you can, let me know that you're connected. And okay, Daniel, thank you for letting me know that the audio is good. Of course, we do make a recording out of this and publish it afterwards, and I split the pre-show up from the regular show so that if you only want to see the main content, of course you can do that. So tonight, if you didn't see any of the referrals, we were talking, or any of the previews or ads that I put out, we're going to be talking about referrals tonight. In your MSP business, we all know that word of mouth is probably the place we get our best new customers from. So how do we accelerate that? So that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. But before we get into that, I do want you guys to go ahead and comment and answer some questions for me so that we can have some stuff to talk about when we actually get to the topic. So I wrote down a couple of questions. First one, are you getting referrals? Are you actively getting referrals into your business, at least one or two a month? How are you doing that? What are you doing to actively get your customers to bring you new referrals? And then, are you actually using those referrals to keep your pipeline full? Is it part of your marketing program, part of your marketing efforts, or is it just kind of an afterthought? Because to me, in my MSP business, referrals were like gold. And so we mined them. We literally and intentionally went out and mined our customers for referrals. So we're going to be talking about some of the ways you can do that later on this evening. Tonight, I just want to start some conversations, give people a chance to, of course, connect and get into the live show. So if you are connected, and let me just check here. Okay. What is your marketing program? Are you actively using referrals, things like that? So let's see, we got about 10 more minutes left before we start the show. So in the meantime, I want to talk about a couple of other things, because there's a couple of other things that I want to do, and then something that I did this past couple of weeks that I wanted to make everybody aware of, just in case you weren't or you haven't tried it yourself. All of that fuss about iPhones and batteries and them slowing down, in my experience, and I've actually replaced the battery on my 6 Plus, it's actually accurate. I was experiencing all those things that everybody else was talking about after the new iOS update. Slowdowns, I would have 40-something% battery and the phone would literally just die. And so as a test case, I replaced the battery on my daughter's phone first to make sure that I wasn't going to ruin it. Of course, I watched a lot of videos. That helped. And I know a lot of you guys, this is probably nothing because you actually do these iPhone battery replacements as part of your business. But for me, I hadn't done one before. So I did my daughter's first, and her battery was so old, I knew that it was, battery was causing her problems. But with mine, I was just experiencing the slowdowns and the rapid decrease of power that would actually shut off the phone. So I ordered the battery, and it was like $19 off Amazon for the battery. Replaced it in about a half an hour, and now my phone runs like it's brand new. The speed is fine. The battery life is good. It still drains the battery faster because the new iOS just does that. But in terms of the speed of the phone, it's much faster. And this is going to sound silly, but the place I noticed it the most was standing in line at the grocery store because I was in such a hurry to get through the line at the grocery store, and I was trying to pull up the app that has my, frequent flyer card on there or whatever. And it would take forever for that application to come up and then for me to be able to search for that store's card and then, present it to the cashier. So I know that's not a great, way to test the phone, but that's where it was noticeable and the most frustrating for me. That and the night I was coming home from the airport and I called my wife, had 43% battery, and it died. And I had to plug it in for like 5 minutes before I could call her back. So if you're having trouble with your phone and if with your iPhone and you think that it's the same battery slowdown, type of issues, I would recommend replacing it. The toolkit, you can buy the battery and the kit, which is what I did for my daughter, for about $30. And then you can buy the batteries themselves for 20. So that really helps in terms of, cost. I know Apple was reducing the price, but that's on newer phones, down to 29. But whatever whatever works for you. But I'm here to tell you that it definitely worked on my phone in terms of the speed issue. Now, I know they're coming out with the new iOS and you're supposed to be able to throttle it yourself and all that stuff, but new battery does help, and it was not terrible to replace. I believe the battery that I used was a Scanditech, and both their video and I think it was an iFixit video on YouTube that I watched that were very, very helpful and showed you step by step. And it's not that hard. There's a couple of little gotchas that you got to be careful of, especially when you're taking the old battery out and getting the adhesive off of the bottom from underneath the battery. So that's probably the stickiest part, no pun intended. But just take it slow and be careful with getting the adhesive out, and it should be fine. So the other thing I wanted to talk about tonight is I wanted to talk about Alexa and the Echo Dot. So I have this idea where I want to do a podcast as well as this show because often it's difficult for me to do a live video show as much as it is for me to do just a short audio show. So what I was thinking I would do is actually create a short podcast that you could add if you're using an Alexa to your flash briefing every day. Because I know I get a lot of, it's one of my favorite ways to kind of consume my morning knowledge, if you will. So that's, I'm thinking about doing a podcast and setting it up so that you can do it as a flash briefing on Alexa. So go ahead and comment. Let me know what you think about that idea. And, we got 6 more minutes here. So what I need you guys to do is go ahead and if you're already doing some type of referral program or collecting word of mouth, things like that, make sure that you are that you tell me in the comments what you're doing so that we can talk about those things. Because one of the points to All Things MSP, of course, is not just sharing what I did when I was running my MSP or what I've heard other people are doing in running their MSP, but what are you doing in running your MSP so that we can share that with others. Okay, we're counting down. Does everybody, is my audio good? Just want to make sure. I don't have a wingman tonight, so kind of flying solo. I know I had some problems last week. I can see the meter here on the computer, but I don't know if I necessarily trust that. Okay. Let's see. Well, the audio, I guess, is good because Daniel is telling me that the audio sounds good. Well, that's good. Oh, and the other thing in terms of the audio that I wanted to know is about background noise, because I hear a little bit of background noise in my headphones here, but just like I was recording a video today at work, um, I often hear more sound in the headphones than actually ends up on the recording. So just wanted to make sure that everything sounds good there. All right, let's see, just checking to make sure we're still live. And we are, and we got a couple people watching. That's good. And we even have our first like of the evening. Thank you, James. So thank you guys for joining me tonight. My name is Eric Anthony, and this is All Things MSP. If you don't know, probably should introduce myself since this is only episode 5. And by the way, if you're missing episode 2, you're not really missing episode 2. Episode 3 is really the replacement for episode 2. It covers the same topic. We just had some issues with episode 2, so we re-recorded it as episode 3. But anyway, episode 5. This is episode 5. And we're going to be talking about referrals tonight. I created this live show because I want to share my experiences as an MSP, the experiences of other people as MSPs, because I talk to MSPs all the time in my day job. In case you guys don't know, I work for SolarWinds MSP as the principal of customer experience. But this is an independent show, just so you know. But, I want to open it up to discussion. We can talk about anything. We can talk about business topics, technology topics, security topics. And if you haven't seen episode 4, by the way, which was 2 weeks ago, I had Ian Trump on the show, and he was talking about how to create checks that look at the event log and allow you to build events or checks based on those events. So things like logins that shouldn't be happening, changes in permissions that shouldn't be happening, all of those different security related items that you would see in the event log, and actually create alerts based on those in your remote management solution. So definitely worth seeing. There's a white paper that's in the comments for that video. Actually, on Facebook, it's a separate post. So if you look for the post for the white paper from Ian, you'll find it there. And he actually walks through exactly what those event IDs are. He actually shows you step by step how to set them up in the SolarWinds MSP RMM dashboard. But it should be similar regardless of the remote management tool that you're using. All right, so we're getting close. Awesome. Okay, so tonight, again, we're going to be talking about referrals. If you guys could please go ahead and put in the comments what kind of referral programs are you using? Are you using a referral program? Are you actually getting word of mouth intentionally, from your customers every month or every quarter? What avenues are you using to solicit those referrals from your customers? And we'll go through a list of those in a few minutes. We'll go through different ideas I have for what I call, or what other people call, because it's not my idea, joint venture referral programs, where you work with one of your vendors, or not really your vendor, but somebody in your space or in your area who does something complementary to what you do. I had a great telephone guy that I worked with a lot, and he and I would do joint venture referral programs, and it worked out great. You do have to be a little bit careful about it, though, because you don't want to give up your customer list, and I'll talk a little bit about how that works later on in the show. Okay, we're getting really close. Just checking a couple of things here on the phone. Okay, looks good. Now, if you guys are watching the show, please go ahead and comment. Let me know you're here so that I know you're around. Hopefully by the next show, I'm going to have some bots set up so that you can go ahead and request information. I'll have those little single word things that you can type in and be able to get more information and, give a shout out and that kind of stuff. So if you're here, go ahead and give a shout out. Let me know you're here, and it's time to start the show.